The complete works of Swami Vivekananda, Volume 5, Section 7. Writings. Customs, Eastern and Western. The, fore, the foregoing, by way of an introduction, has come to be rather long. But after all this talk, it will be easier for us to compare the two nations. They are good and we are also good. You can neither praise the one nor blame the other. Both the scales are equal. Of course, there are gradation and varieties of good. This is all. According to us, there are three things in the makeup of a man: their body, their mind, and their soul. First, let us consider body, which is the most external thing about man. First, see how various are differences with respect to the body. How many varieties of nose, face, hair, height, complexion, breadth, etc. there are. The modern the modern ethnologists hold that variety of complexion is due to intermixture of blood. Though the hot and or cold climate of a place to a certain extent affects the complexion, no doubt, yet the main cause of its change is hereditary. Even in the coldest part of the world, people with the dark complexions are seen, and again in the hottest part of the country, white men are seen to live. The complexion of the ab- aboriginal tribes of Canada in America and of Es- Eskimos of the northern pole region is not white, while islands such as Borneo, Celebes, etc., situated in the equatorial region, are peopled by white aborigines. According to the Hindu Shastras, the three Hindu castes, Brahman, Kshatriya, and Vaishya, and several nations outside India, to wit, Chin, Hun, Darad, Pahalava, Yavana, and Kasha, are all Aryans. This Chin of us Shastra is not the modern Chinaman. Besides, in those days, the Chinamen did not call themselves Chin at all. There was a distinct, powerful nation called Chin living in the northeast part of Kashmir, and the Darats lived where are now seen the hill tribes between India and Afghanistan. Some remnants of the ancient Chin are yet to be found in a very small number, and Darastians is yet to in existence. In the Rajata Rangini, in Rajata Rangini, the history of Kashmir, reference are often made to the supreme of the powerful Darat Raj, an ancient tribe of Huns reigned for a long period in the northwest part of India. The Tibetans now call themselves Hun, but this Hun is perhaps Huni. The fact is that the Huns referred to in Manu are not the modern Tibetans, but it is quite probable that the modern Tibetans are the product of the mixture of the ancient Aryan Huns and some other Mughal tribes that come to Tibet from Central Asia, according to the Prjivalsi, Prjivalki, the Dukes Orleans, the Russian, the French travelers, and there are still found in some part of the Tibet tribes with faces and eyes of the Aryan type, that is Yavana, was the name given to the Greece. There has been much dispute about the origin of this name. Some say that the name Yavana was first used to designate the tribes of Greece inhabiting the palace or place called Ionia, and hence in the Pali rites of the empire Ashok, the Greeks are named as Jonas, and afterward, from this word Yona, the Sanskrit word Yavana was derived. Again, according to some of our Indian antiquarian quarians, antiquarians, the word Yavana does not stand for the Greeks, but all these views are wrong. The original word of Yavana is self for not only the Hindus but the ancient Egyptians and the Babylonians as well, called a Greek by the word Pahalava is meant the ancient Parsis speaking the Pahlavi tongue. Even now, Khasha denotes the semi-civilized Aryan tribes living in mountain regions and in the Himalayas, and the word is still used in these senses. In that sense, the present Europeans are the descendant of the Khash. In other words, those Aryan tribes that were incivilized or uncivilized in ancient days are all Khasha. In the opinion of modern savant, the Aryans had reddish-white complexions, black or red hair, straight nose, well-drawn eyes, etc., and the formation of the skull varied in little according to the color of the hair. Where the complexion is dark, there the change has come to pass owing to the mixture of the pure Aryan blood with black races. They hold that there are still some tribes to the west of the Himalayan borders who are of pure Aryan blood, and that the rest are all the mixed blood. Otherwise, how could they be dark? But the European pundits ought to know by this time that in the southern part of India, many children are born with red hair which after 2 or 3 years changes into black, and that in the Himalayas many have the red hair and blue or grey eyes. Let the Pandits fight among themselves. It is the Hindus who have all along called themselves Aryans. Whether of pure or mixed blood, the Hindus are Aryans. There is rest. In the Europeans do If the Europeans do not like us Aryans because we are dark, let them take another name for themselves. What is that to us? Whether black or white, it does not matter. But of all the nation of the world, the Hindus are the handsomest and the finest in feature. I am not bragging nor saying anything in exaggeration because they belong to my own nationality. But this fact is known all over the world. Where else can one find a higher percentage of fine featured men and women than in India? Beside, it has to it has to be taken into consideration how much more is required in your how much more is required in our country to make us look handsome than in other countries because our bodies are so much more exposed. In other countries, the attempt is always to make ugly person appear beautiful under cover of elaborate dresses and clothes. Of course, in point of wealth, the Westerners are far superior to us. In the West, men of 40 years and women of 50 years are still young. This is no doubt because they take good food, good dress well, and live in a good climate, and above all, the secret is that they do not marry at the early age. Ask those few strong tribes among ourselves and see what their marriageable age is. Ask the hill tribes such as Gurkhas, Punjabis, Jats, and Afridis what their marriageable ages. Then read your own Shastras. 30 is the age fixed for the Brahmana, 25 for the Kshatriyas, and 20 for the Vaishyas. In point of longevity and physical and mental strength, there is a great difference between the Westerners and ourselves. As soon as we attain to 40, our hope and physical and mental strength are on the decline, while at that age, full of the youthful vigor and hope, they have only made a start. We are vegetarian. Most of our diseases are of the stomach. Our old men and women generally die in the complaints of stomach. They of the Western take milk. Most of their diseases are of the heart. Their old men and women generally die of heart or lung diseases. A learned doctor of the West observes that the people who have chronic stomach complaints generally tend to a melancholy and renouncing nature, and the people suffer from complaints of the heart and the upper part of the body have always hope and faith to the last. The cholera patient is from the very beginning afraid of death, while the consumption or consumptive patient hopes to the last moment that he will recover. Is it owing to this? My doctor friend may with good reasoning ask that the Indians always talk and think of death and renunciation. As yet, I have not been able to find a satisfactory answer to this, but the question seems to have an air of truth about it and demands serious consideration. In our country, people suffer little from diseases of teeth and hair. In the West, few people have natural healthy teeth, and blondness is met with everywhere. Our women bore their nose and ears for wearing ornaments. In West, among the highest classes, women do not do those things much nowadays, but by squeezing the waist, making the spine crooked, and thus displacing the liver and spleen, and disfiguring the form, they suffer the torment of death to make themselves shapely in appearance, and added to that is the burden of dress, over which they have to show their features to the best advantage. Their western dress is, however, most suited for work, with the exception of the dress worn in the society by the ladies of the wealthy classes. The dress of the woman is generally is ugly. The sari of our woman and the choga, chapka, chapkan and turban of our men defy comparison as regards beauty in dress. The tight dresses cannot approach in beauty the loose ones that fall in natural folds. But all our dresses, been flowing and in folds, are not suited for doing work. In doing work, they spoiled and done for. There is such a thing as fashion in the West. Their fashion is in dress, our fashion is in ornament. Though nowadays it is entering the little into clothes also. Paris is the center of fashion for ladies' dress and London for men. The actresses of Paris often set the fashion. What new fashion of dress is distinguished actress of the time would wear? The fashionable world would agreedly or greedily imitate. The big firm of the dressmakers set the fashion nowadays. We can form no idea of the millions of pounds that are spent every year in the making of dress in the West. The dressmaking business has become a regular science. What color of dress will suit with the complexion of the girl and the color of her hair? What specific features of her body should be discussed and what displayed to the best advantage. This and many other like important points the dressmakers have seriously to consider. Again, the dress that lady of very high position wears, other have to wear also, otherwise they lose their caste. This is fashion. Then again, this fashion is changing every day. So to say, it is sure to change four times with the four seasons of the year. And beside many other things as well, the rich people have their dresses made after the latest fashions by expert firms. Those who belong to the middle class have them often done at home by woman tailors or do them themselves. If the new fashion approaches very near to their last one, they just change or adjust their clothes accordingly. Otherwise, they buy new ones. The wealthy classes give away their dresses which have gone out of fashion to their dependents and servants. The ladies' maid and valets sell them, and those are exported to the various colonies established by the Europeans in Africa, Asia, and Austria, and there they are used again. The dresses of those who are immensely rich are all ordered from Paris. The less wealthy have them copied in their own country by their own dressmaker, but the lady's hat must be of French make. As a matter of fact, the dress of the English and the German woman is not good. They do not generally follow the Paris fashion, except, of course, a few of the rich and the higher classes. So the women of other countries indulge in jokes at their expense. but men in England mostly dress very well. The American men and women, without distinction, wear very fashionable dress. Though the American government imposes heavy duties on all dresses imported from London or Paris to keep out foreign goods from the country, at all the same, the women order their dresses from Paris and men from London. Thousands of men and women are employed in daily introducing into the market woolen and silk fabric of various kinds and colors, and thousands again are manufacturing all sorts of dresses out of them, unless the dress is exactly up to the date up to date. Ladies and gentlemen cannot walk in the street without being remarked upon by the fashionable. Though we have not all these botherations of the fashion in dress in our country, we have instead a fashion in ornament to a certain extent. The merchants dealing in silk, woolen and other materials in the west have their watchful eyes always fixed on the way the fashion changes and what sort of things people have begun to live, and they hit upon the new fashion out of their own brain and try to draw the attention of the people thereto. When once a merchant succeeds in gaining the eyes of the people to the fashion brought into the market by him, he is a made man for life. After a time of American Napoleons, of France, his wife, the Empress Ingwena, was the universally recognized avatar of fashion of the West. The shawls of Kashmir were her special favorites, and therefore shawls worth millions of rupees used to be exported every year in her time from Kashmir to Europe. With the fall of Napoleon III, the fashion has changed and the Kashmir shawls no longer sell. And as for the merchants of our country, they always walk in the old rut. They could not opportunely hit upon any new style to catch the fancy of the West under the alternate circumstances, so the market was lost to them. Kashmir received several shocks, and her big and rich merchants all of the sudden failed. This world is of if you have the eyes to see, it's yours. If not, it is mine. Do you think that anyone waits for another? The Westerners are devising new means and methods to extract the luxuries and comfort of different parts of the world. They watch the situation with 10 eyes and work with 200 hands, as it were, while we will never do what the authors of Shastras have not written in the books, and thus we are moving in the same old groove, and there is no attempt to seek anything original, new. And the capacity to do that is lost to us now. The whole nation is rending the skies with the cry for food and dying for starvation. Whose fault it is? Ours. What means are we taking in hands to find a way out of the pitiable situation? Zero. Only making great noise by our big and empty talk. That is all that we are doing. Why not come out of your narrow corners and see with your eyes open how the world is moving onwards? Then the mind will open, and the power of thinking and of timely action will come to itself. You certainly know the story of Devas and the Asuras. The Devas have faith in their soul, in God, and in a lifetime, while the Asuras give importance to this life and devote themselves in enjoying this world and trying to have bodily comfort in every possible way. We do not mean to discuss here whether the Devas are better than the Asuras or Asuras are than the Devas, but reading their description in the Puranas, the Asuras seems to be truth to tell, more like men, and after more manly than the Devas. The Devas are inferior, without doubt, to the Asuras in many respects. Now, to understand the East and West, we cannot do better than interpret the Hindus as the sons of the Devas and Westerners as the son of Asuras. First, let us see about this respective idea of cleanliness of the body. Purity means cleanliness of mind and body. The latter is affected by the use of water, etc. No nation in the world is as clean in the body as Hindus, who uses water very freely. Taking a plung bath or in well-known skark in other nations, with a few exceptions, the English have introduced it into their country after coming in contact with India. Even now, ask those of our students who have resided in England for education. They will tell you how insufficient the arrangement for bathing are there. Then the when Westerner bath, and that is the once a week. They change their inner clothes, of course, nowadays. Among those who have means, many bath daily, and among Americans the number is larger. The German once in a week, the French and others very rarely. Spain and Italy are warm countries, but there it is less, still less. Imagine they are eating of garlic in abundance, profuse perspiration day and night, and at no bath. Ghosts must surely run away from them. What to say of men? What is meant by bath in the West? Why? The washing of face, head, and hands. That is only those parts which are exposed. The millionaire friend of mine once invited me to come over to Paris. Paris, which is the capital of modern civilization. Paris, the haven of luxury, fashion, and merriment on earth. The center of arts and science. My arrangement for meal were in the rich royal style, but for bath, well, no name of it. 2 days I suffered silently till at last I could bear it no longer and had to address my friend thus. Dear brother, let this royal luxury be with such hot weather. Let this royal luxury be with you and yours. I am painting to get out of this situation. Such hot weather and no facility of bathing. If it continues like this, I shall be in imminent danger of turning mad like a rabid dog. Hearing this, my friend became very sorry for me and annoyed with the hotel authorities and said, I won't let you stay here anymore. Let us go and find out the better place. 12 of the chief hotels were seen, but no place for bath was there in any of them. There was independent bathing houses where one can go and have the bath for 4 or 5 rupees. Good heavens, that very afternoon I read in the paper that an old lady entered into the bathtub and died then and there. Whatever the doctor may say, I am inclined to think that perhaps that was the first occasion in her life to come into contact with so much water, and the frame collapsed by the sudden shock. This is no exaggeration. Then the Russians and some other are awfully unclean in that line. Starting from Tibet, it is it is about the same all over those regions. In every boarding house in America, of course, there is a bathroom and an arrangement of pipeline. See, however, the difference here. Why do we Hindus bath? Because of the fear of incurring sins. The Westerners wash their hands and face for cleanliness sake. Bathing with us means pouring water over the body, though the oil and dirt may stick on and show themselves. Again, our southern Indian brothers decorate themselves with such long and wide cast mark that is requires perchance the use of pumice stone to rub them off. Our baths, on the other hand, is an easy matter. To have a plug-in anywhere, but not so in the West. There they have to put off a lot of clothes. And how many buttons and hooks and eyes are there? We do not feel any delicacy to show our body to them. It is awful. But among men, says between father and son, there is no impropriety only before woman who have to cover yourself cap a pie. This custom of external cleanliness, like all other customs, sometimes turns out to be, in the long run, rather a trinary or the very reverse of achara, that is, cleanliness. The Europeans say that all bodily matter have to be attended to in private. Well and good. It is vulgar to spit before others. To rinse your mouth before others is disgraceful. So, for fear of censure, they do not wash their mouth after meal, and the result is that the teeth gradually decays. Here is non-observance of cleanliness for fear of society and civilization. With us, it is in other extreme to rinse and wash the mouth before all men and sitting in the street making the noise as if you are sick. This rather trinary. Those things should no doubt be done privately, silently, but not to do them for fear of society is also equally wrong. Again, society patiently bears and accommodates itself to those customs which are unavoidable in particular climates. In a warm country like ours, we drink glass after glass of water now. How can we help irritating? But in the West, the habit is very ungentlemanly. But there if you blow the nose and use your pocket handkerchief at the time of eating, that is not objectable. But with us, it is disgusting. In the cold country like theirs, one cannot avoid doing it now and then. We Hindus hold dirt in the abomination very much, but all the same, we are, in point of fact, frequently dirty ourselves. Dirt is so repugnant to us that if we touch it, we bath. And so, to keep ourselves away from it, we leave a heap of it to rot near the house. The only thing to do, or to be careful about it, not to touch it. But on the other hand, do we ever think that we are living virtually in hell? To avoid one uncleanliness, we quote another, and the greater uncleanliness to escape from one evil. We follow on the heels of another and a greater evil. He who keeps dirt heaped in the house is a sinner, no doubt about that. And for this retribution, for his retribution, he has not to wait for the next life. It recoils on his head betimes in this very life. The grace of both Lakshmi, goddess of fortune, and Saraswati, goddess of learning, now shines on the people of the Western countries. They do not stop at the mere acquisition of the objects of enjoyment, but in all eating, but in all eating and drinking, in their homes and surroundings, in everything. They want to see an all round elegant elegance. We also in the land. We have now too much poverty. But to make matter worse, we are coating our ruins in two ways. Namely, we are throwing away what we have as our own and laboring in vain to make others' ideals and habits ours. Those national virtues that we had are gradually disappearing, and we are not acquiring any of the Western ones either. In sitting, walking, talking, etc., there was in the olden days a traditional, specific trait of our own that is now gone, and withal we have not the ability to take in the Western modes of antiquity. Those ancient religious rites, practices, studies, etc., they were left to us. You are consigning to the wide waters to be kept away and add something new and substitute suitable to the exigencies of the time to make up for them is not striking its roots and becoming stable with us. In oscillating between these two lines, all present distresses lies. The Bengal that is to be has not has yet got a stable footing. It is our arts that have fared the worst of all. In the days gone by, our old woman used to point the floor, doors, and walls of their houses with an old woman used to paint the floors, doors, and walls of their houses with the paste of rice flour, drawing various beautiful figures. They used to cut plantain trees, plantain leaves in the artistic manner to serve the food on. They used to lavish their art in nicely arrangement the different comestibles on the plates. Those arts in these days have gradually disappeared off are doing so. Of course, new things have to be learned, have to be introduced and worked out, but is that to be done by the sweeping away all that is old just because it is old? What new things have you learned? Not any, save and except the jumble of words. What really useful science or art have you acquired? Go and see even now in the distant village the old woodwork and brickwork. The carpenter of your towns cannot even turn out a decent pair of doors, whether they are made for the hut or the mansion is hard to make out. They are only good at buying foreign tools, as if that is all the carpentry. Alas, the state of things has come upon all matter in our country. What we possess as our own is all passing away, and yet all that we have learnt from foreigners is the art of speechifying. Merely reading race casts in the same mold, merely reading and talking. The Bengalis and the Irish in Europe are races cast in the same mold, only talking and banging words. These two nations are adept in making grandiloquent speech. They are now they are nowhere. They are nowhere when a jot of real practical work is required. Over and above that, they are barking at each other and fighting among themselves all the day of their life. In the West, they have a habit of keeping everything about themselves neat and clean, and even the poorest have an eye towards it. And this regard for cleanliness has to be observed, for unless the people have clean suits of clothes, none will employ them in their services. Their servants, maids, cooks, etc., are all dressed in the spotless clean clothes. Their houses are kept trim and tidy by being daily brushed, washed, and dusted. A part of good breathing in consists in not throwing things about, but keeping them in their proper places. Their kitchens look clean and bright. Vegetables, peeling, and such other refuse are placed for the time being in a separate receptacle and taken later on by the scavenger to a distance and thrown away in the set proper place set apart from the purpose. They do not throw such things about in their yards or on the roads. The houses and other buildings of those who are wealthy and are really worth a sight worth seeing. These are these are night and day. a marvel of order lines and cleanliness. Over and above that, they are in the habit of collecting art treasures from various countries and adorning their rooms with them. We, as regard ourselves, we need not, of course, at any rate for the present, go in for collecting works of art as they do. But should we or should we not at least preserve those which we possess from going to ruin? It will take up a long time yet to become as good and efficient as they are in the arts of paintings and sculptures or sculptures. We were never very skillful in those two departments of art. By imitating the Europeans, we at the utmost can only produce one or two Ravi Varmas among us. But further, far further than such artistic are our Vautus painters who do the chalchitras of our goddesses in Bengal. They display in their work at least a boldness in the brilliancy of their colors. The painting of Ravi Verma and others make one hide one face from shame. Far better are those gild, gilded pictures of Jaipur and Chhat- Chach- Chalchitra Jaipur and the Chalachitra of goddesses Durga that we have had from old times. I shall reserve my reflection on the European art of scriptures and painting for some future occasion. That is too vast a subject to enter upon here.